traveled all night. Of course, I was probably sleeping because I don't remember exactly, how many little towns we went through. And where did we go? Where did we go? Where did you think we went?
To the other side, to Asia.
We went east. Okay, now I want to show you the map.
Okay,
You want to try it now? Then I'll show you.
I didn't want the whole thing to project on your face all the time.
Okay.
It'll take a
So I'll show you a little bit on the map what happened. So we were on a horse and buggy, 8 of us, and we are fleeing. And the Nazis, the Germans, were, how far do you think they were away from us? 20 kilometers. Can you switch it to miles? About 15 miles roughly. They were 15 miles. So, it's going to take a while to warm up, is that it?
Maybe 30 seconds.
Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. We went east towards the Russian border, actually the Ukrainian border. But remember, the Soviet Union. There it is. Okay, so we started off, you see, Ukraina, it says here, Ukraina, and we were close to Chernobyl, okay, in this area where we lived. Where do you see Lvov? Lvov, there it is, right here, okay. So we were right about here. That's where I lived, small town. You know how many people lived in my town? 5,000 roughly. Half of them were Jewish. So 2,500 Jews lived in the town in 1941 when we escaped. So now we were heading towards the Ukraine and Russia. And I remember these towns because I see them. I see them right here, like Zhytomyr. Of course, Kiev. We stopped in Kiev, Zhytomyr, and I may not find them all here, but I remember Kharkov, and I remember Dnipropetrovsk, and I remember the town that we went through. Those are big towns, actually, and we fled east, and we were on the road, at least, now I do not remember that much, whether we were there for maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe even 2 months on the road, horse and buggy. And imagine this. Now, this is something that even now, I don't understand it. Imagine if I'm trying to make you understand. No. The beautiful part, it was summer. So it was June and July and August. And I figure about in August, we finally made it to Kazakhstan, all the way in Central Asia. But for about 5 or 6 weeks on the road, or maybe 8 weeks, no change of clothing, no toilets, no showers. And even today I say, well, how did we do it? We were hungry. We have to find food. And that's the first time I ate non-kosher food. Remember Dad, I told Dad, I said, he got some salami somewhere. And I knew it was not kosher. I'd never tasted not kosher food. And he said to me, and I says, Dad, this is not kosher. He looked at me and he said, eat it. Because he looked at me and I was probably very thin. We were always hungry and starving. And this is something we call pikuach nefesh. How many of you know what pikuach nefesh is? Pikuach nefesh. In an emergency, you know, pikuach nefesh tocher Shabbat, right?
Yeah.
It's more, that's why you know that too. Well, you were in a Hebrew school, you know, Hebrew day school, isn't that wonderful? So, he knew it was pikuach nefesh, and he knew that if I'm not going to eat, whether it's kosher or not kosher, I'm going to die. And I didn't feel that way, by the way. You know, as a child, you don't realize the critical period that we were in. And every morning we would wake up outdoors, usually in a kolkhoz. A kolkhoz is a collective farm. We would stop at a collective farm, and usually there was hay, and even to this day I can smell the hay, you know. Sometimes I smell, oh, hay, you know, it smells good to me. This is a place where we slept. And hungry. Sometimes it was raining. It was wet, so we were completely wet, and didn't have a way to change clothes, so it had to dry on you. So anyway, these things went through my mind, and I says, even today, we didn't catch pneumonia. We didn't catch a cold. We didn't have time. We were fleeing. And every time we wake up in the morning, my dad used to ask the farmers, where are the Germans? 20 kilometers. For 5 or 6 or 8 weeks, whenever we woke up in the morning, we wanted to know where the Germans were. They were 20 kilometers away. 20 kilometers. And yet, we were just a little bit ahead of them, and they never caught up with us. So I never saw a Nazi. I never saw a German soldier. But they were 20 kilometers away. We could hear the front, we could hear the shooting, and we could see some of the wounded, because we were, the Russian army, the Red Army was also retreating, just like we were retreating with them, with the Russian. And the roads were full of other refugees like us, and of course the Russian army. So we were retreating. And finally, I don't want to dwell too long on that, because I want to tell you a little more about other things. We finally made it to Voronezh.
Okay, I already in Kazakhstan. I'm going back.
Voronezh
I already went to Kazakhstan.
should be,
No, it's here.
but anyway, it's already, as I said, we were now 5, 6 weeks or 8 weeks away
Here's Voronezh.
from when we started. In Voronezh, we got on a train. And there were thousands of people, but somehow my dad, Oliver Short, he found actually a caboose. And so we were the last one, you know what the caboose is, right, everybody? Yeah. The very last, car, on the train. And all 8 of us got on that train. And we were so happy that we finally got on the train. We didn't know where we were going. All we know, we left the horse and buggy. Actually, he must have exchanged it, you know. He gave somebody a horse and a buggy. He says, take it. And we got a little money. So he probably gave the conductor or whoever the money. He says, get us on the train so we can get out. And sure enough, we got on the train, and we traveled, I don't know how long, several days on the train, and we made it to Kazakhstan. And the place was called Akhtubinsk. I think they changed the name. Now I don't even know what the name is today. They changed names.
Akhtubinsk still there.
What is it now?
Akhtubinsk is still there.
Akhtubinsk? Still Akhtubinsk. Akhtubinsk, and we made it. That's where we stopped. And now, what set in was hunger and illness. And the reason why I call my book I Shall Not Die is not because I'm immortal, that I'm not going to die. I'm going to die. Because 4 different times in my life, during that time, I was threatened with death. The worst one was when I got sick in Kazakhstan, and I was now 11 years old probably. I don't remember the exact date. And I got typhus. You heard of the illness typhus? Yes. Not once, but I got a double dose of typhus. I recovered the first time and got sick again. And I overheard the doctor, a Russian doctor, a friend of ours, say to my mother and dad, see, it's true, say goodbye to your son, because he's not going to make it till the morning. And I overheard him say that. And I could feel that I was dying. I mean, the type of typhus that I had, I was bleeding internally. And I just felt also that I'm done. But somehow or other, I made it. In the morning, I was still alive, and not only this, I was very hungry. And I told my mom and dad that, and they really were ready for a funeral, and I was